Hello and welcome to this special edition of Know Your Schools on WISD TV. Today we're going to talk about state testing and some important dates for parents and students to remember. My name is Dale Caffey. I'm joined by Dr. Robin McDurham. She is the Executive Director of Secondary Education at Waco ISD, and we're going to talk about the STAR test and the EOC test that are coming up beginning March 31st and on into May. Let's first of all talk generally about the tests. STAR is one of the tests, EOC is the other. What are the differences?
Well, the STAR is the test that we give students who are in 3rd through 8th grade. It's replaced the TAKS test. The acronym stands for State of Texas Assessment for Academic Readiness. The difference this year, Dell, in the STAR test and the TAKS test is that the test is a little bit more rigorous. It's focusing on those critical thinking skills. It leans a little bit more towards college readiness, even beginning at 3rd grade.
Very good. And EOC stands for End of Course, and that's now what we give at the high school level.
Yes, it is.
Let's talk about the first testing week, which is March the 31st through April the 3rd. We'll be showing some graphics on the screen. And during that week, at the high school level, you have the End of Course English 1 and English 2 exams. And then at the middle school and elementary level, grades 4 and 7 have their writing exam, and grades 5 and 8 have their math and reading exams.
Yes.
This is a big week, of course, for parents and students. So let's talk about how these students need to prepare.
Okay, well, I want to start by saying that the reason that we are starting early with our STAR end of course exam is that when we have 3rd and 5th graders testing, they qualify for what the state calls the Student Success Initiative. And so they actually have more than one opportunity to be successful on this exam. They first begin with this administration, and if only 5th and 8th grade, but if 5th and 8th grade are not successful on the first round, they will get another opportunity to take the test in May. And then because in 5th and 8th grade, passing the test is required for promotion to the next grade.
Right.
If they're not successful on that second round, then they will be enrolled in a summer school program, and they'll be able to have one more opportunity to pass the test before promoting to the next grade.
Right. And of course, we recently did a Know Your Schools focusing on summer school, which is very important. But of course, we would like less and less students to have to go to summer school.
Right. And this is a great opportunity for them to have a couple of chances to take it. And each time, you know, the students in preparing for their test, they need to take very seriously the strategies that their teachers and their administration, their school administration are sharing with them, because this is one of those tests that part of being successful is understanding how those questions are going to be asked and how the things that they're learning in school are going to be tested. And so pay attention to those testing strategies. That's half the battle. And then the other is to review what you're learning, spend time with your teachers to make sure that you do have those critical thinking skills moving along, and practice the types of things that your teachers are sharing with you right now.
Certainly. Again, that's grades 5 and 8 taking the math and reading exams during that week of March 31st through April 3rd. We also have, of course, the grades 4 and 7 writing, or
Yes.
English language arts, and there's actually 2 days of that. Now, that test is not required for promotion, but obviously it's awfully important.
It is very important, and they offer it so early because you can imagine having to grade an essay from every 4th grader and every 7th grader in the state of Texas. And so we want to make sure that the students, the way that the state does that, they actually have 2 graders for every essay, and to give the kids a fair shot. It just takes time to get that done.
Now, at the high school level, on March 31st and April 1st is the English 1 and English 2 EOC exams.
Yes.
We're doing something special, or the state is allowing us to do something special with the students who don't need to take those exams, who've already been successful at those exams. Let's talk about that.
Yes, now Dell, that is for high school only.
Right.
And so we want to make sure that everyone understands that if you have a student who is perhaps in 3rd grade or 6th grade, they still attend school the normal school day. But if you are a high school student and you have already, if you're a junior or a senior and you've already passed the English Language Arts exam, or you're only taking the English 2 exam, then on the day that you are not testing, then you would have a late start. The state is extending the opportunity for students who are not testing to begin the school day at noon. So the students who are testing will have the full attention of the faculty at the high schools to administer those tests.
And we're of course talking about the non-testing students. The students will know who they are.
Yes.
And they'll be expected, though, to catch that bus late, approximately 3 hours late. We'll get into that in just a moment. Or get to school by noon that day, because they will have something special going on in the afternoon for them.
Yes, there are several special programs that are happening for non-testing students on the days that they are not testing. It is real important that everyone does come on those days, because the state is extending the offer to us, but we still have to have attendance. And if we aren't able to have the type of attendance that's expected on a normal day, then it means that when we begin testing again in late April and early May, we may not be able to do that. And we don't want to have students, sitting when they wouldn't have to be here otherwise. And they don't want that either.
No. And the students will have the opportunity who are not testing to sleep in, but when they get to school, they're going to have a special program, some motivational speakers, some college entrance opportunities, things of that nature, some motivational opportunities, it says. So we have a day plan or a half day plan for them.
Yes, and they will also have information about graduation for our seniors. It is important for them to be there. It's not a blow off in the afternoon. There are going to be very targeted conversations that will be taking place that students will not want to miss.
Once again, we are talking about March the 31st and April 1st for the non-testing high school students. If you ride the bus, the non-testers should catch the bus for Waco High School at about 10:45, be at your bus stop. The University High School normally starts a little later than that, so try to be at your bus stop or be at your bus stop at 11:15 so you can get to your destination by noon for Waco High, 12:30 for University. Again, the start times for non-testers on March 31st and April 1st, noon for Waco High School, 12:30 for University High School. Now let's talk a little bit about as we get into April. In fact, immediately following Easter Sunday, on that Tuesday, is another round of STAR testing. Grades, and this is where you mentioned the other grades that do the STAR testing. Grades 3, 4, 6, and 7 will have their math test on Tuesday, the 22nd of April. They'll have their reading test on the 23rd of April. And then grades 5 and 8 will have their science test on the 23rd. And let's see, grade 8 even has social studies.
Yes.
So we have another big week of testing right there, right in the middle of April.
Yes, if you're an 8th grader, then you win the prize for the most tests that any student in Waco ISD is taking. And so they get their math and reading out of the way first, and then when we come back, we'll take those social studies and science tests, and then they'll be ready to move on to high school.
Right, and that's by design because we want those 8th graders to be prepared, because that's a big jump when you go from middle school to high school.
Yes, it is.
Very good. And then let's look into May. Here we have more, and this is EOC testing. This is when those high schoolers have to pass these courses to be able to graduate, I guess.
Yes, they do.
Let's talk about those that begin on Tuesday, May the 6th.
Okay, on Tuesday, May the 6th, the students who haven't completed the algebra exam, and that would be 9th graders or students who may not have passed it, have the opportunity to retest on the algebra exam. And then on the 7th, it will be the biology exam. And so in general, the folks that are taking these tests, in general, the algebra test is offered to ninth graders. The biology exam is also offered to ninth graders. We're a little heavy in ninth grade testing because English 1 is a ninth grade exam. Now, if you are retesting, if you haven't passed, because just like you said, Dale, these are tests that don't go away. They have got to pass these tests in order to graduate. And so if you're retesting on these exams, then you would also retest on those days. And one way that we're notifying parents about that is every student who is retesting will receive a postcard sent to their home with exactly which test they're retesting on and when that will be happening. So parents, if you know that you have a child that's retesting on exam, watch for that postcard and pop it up on your refrigerator as a reminder that they do also need to be there on those days. Don't let them sleep in because they don't want to miss that opportunity to get that test taken care of.
Also, during that week of May the 6th, 7th, and 8th, on the 8th, it's the U.S. History EOC.
Yes, and that test is administered to juniors.
Okay, very good.
Now, you may know that in the past, last year, there were 15 end-of-course exams, and with the new House Bill 5, the state pulled it back together and looked at, how do we keep from over-testing our students and make their graduation requirements reasonable. And so we're down to the big 5, and that's the English 1 and 2, the history exam, the biology, and the algebra 1 exam. And that's what the students have to have in state testing in order to move on along with their credits and graduate.
Very good. And then, of course, the last date we have testing are May 13th and 14th, and you mentioned this earlier because that's the reason that we're starting those 5th and 8th graders on April 1st and 2nd with their math and their reading exams, because they have a chance, if they don't succeed in April, to succeed in May.
Yes. Yes, and those students will know 2 weeks after the first administration. The state will get those results out, and we will begin talking to the students who will be retesting at that time and preparing an acceleration plan, looking at the things that they really need to work on so that they can get over that hump and pass that test. And so parents, I would encourage you that if you have a student that's retesting, talk to your student about just those few things that they probably need to address to be more successful on the next round, and help them study and speak to their teachers and talk about ways that you can help them get there, because many times that they do make it the second time around, and it's often a matter of missing it by 1, 2, or 3 questions.
We talked about parental communication and the fact that the postcards are going to be vital for the parents to stick on their refrigerators at home. Of course, we're doing this videos that you can be in the know about testing. This video is not only available on WISD TV if you're watching us here, but also on the district's website as well as YouTube. So you can watch this video anytime if you need to review it. But also principals are going to be using their school messenger calling systems, correct?
Yes, and so if you're a Waco ISD parent that hasn't been getting a school messenger message this year, because many campuses have been sending them out, it's a good time to update your records with the school district and make sure that you're getting those important calls and reminders.
That's right, and you can do that by contacting your registrar at your school. They can make those changes if your phone number has changed, because we need those phone numbers in School Messenger to be accurate.
Yes.
Dr. McDurham, thank you so much for joining us today. Any final thoughts about this big month and a half of testing we have approaching? It
is a big month of testing. I hope that you will encourage your children and help them understand that it is important. It's something that they need to understand that they can do. And so let's help them all be successful.
Great. Dr. McDurham, thank you so much for joining us today on this special edition of Know Your Schools. Please know your test. This is Dale Caffey. We'll see you next time.